welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into something, well, potentially huge. It's research you flagged about heart failure.
That's right, a possible breakthrough using gene therapy.
Yeah, because for so long, heart failure has just meant, well, an irreversible decline, hasn't it?
Pretty much. Doctors mainly try to slow it down, manage symptoms.
The only real fix being a heart transplant, which is obviously a massive deal and not available for everyone.
Exactly. A very limited option.
But this new research, it's hinting at something different. Published in NPJ Regenerative Medicine.
They're reporting, and this is the quote, unprecedented recovery of cardiac function.
Unprecedented. And they saw this in pigs with heart failure.
Which is a really important step, using a large animal model that's closer to human physiology.
And the key thing here, it seems, isn't just stopping the decline, but maybe actually reversing the damage, healing the heart muscle.
That's the game changer, moving beyond just managing the disease.
The focus is a specific protein, CBIN1, and a gene therapy targeting it. So that's our mission today. Unpack this, understand what they found, how this CBIN1 therapy might work, and what it could mean down the line.
Absolutely, because the implications could be enormous.
You brought this to us knowing it's complex stuff, so let's try and break it down together.
Sounds good. And maybe the place to start is just reminding ourselves about heart failure as it stands now.
Good idea, because the seriousness, it's significant.
It really is. And the sheer scale. You mentioned a statistic earlier.
Yeah, it's quite sobering. Estimates suggest maybe 1 in 4 people could develop heart failure in their lifetime.
1 in 4. That's huge. It affects so many lives.
And once diagnosed, it's generally seen as this progressive weakening, a one-way street, really.
That's been the reality. Manage symptoms, try to ease the burden on the heart, slow things down.
But this research, it's suggesting maybe that street isn't one way after all.
That's the hope. That's the excitement around this.
Which brings us to this protein, CBIN1, cardiac bridging integrator 1. What is it exactly?
Okay, so CBIN1 is a protein found right inside the heart muscle cells. Think of it as maybe a key organizer. It helps the cell's internal machinery work correctly so the heart can contract properly.
And the link to heart failure.
Well, what researchers consistently find is that in hearts that are failing, the levels of this CBIN1 protein are low, significantly lower.
Right. And one of the senior authors, Dr. Robin Shaw, put it very plainly. When CBIN1 is down, we know patients are not going to do well.
Exactly. It's a strong correlation. Lower CBIN1, worse outcomes.
Which naturally leads to the question, right?
The obvious question, as Dr. Shaw said, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to say, what happens when we give it back?
Simple question. Profound implications if it works.
And that's what they set out to test.
Okay, so they've identified the target, low CBIN1. How did they actually give it back? That's the gene therapy part, I assume.
Correct. They used a technique that's becoming more common now, a harmless virus, basically acting as a delivery vehicle.
Like a little biological courier.
Pretty much, yeah. They loaded this virus with a working copy of the gene that tells cells how to make CBIN1.
Okay.
And then they delivered this virus to pigs that already had heart failure.
How did they get it to the heart specifically? Just a general injection?
It was an injection into the bloodstream. But the clever part is this particular type of virus they use naturally homes in on heart tissue.
Ah, so it has a kind of built-in targeting system.
Exactly. It preferentially goes to the heart cells to deliver its genetic instructions.
That's smart. So the instructions get delivered right where they're needed. And the results in these pigs, he said they were unprecedented.
Yeah.
What did that actually look like?
Well, first off, survival. In this particular model of heart failure in pigs, the animals usually don't live very long, maybe a few months.
Right.
But the pigs that got the CBIN1 gene therapy, all 4 of them survived the whole study period, which was 6 months.
All of them, compared to usually dying within months.
All of them. 100% survival in the treated group. That alone is striking.
That's huge. Just survival is a massive win. But you mentioned more than just survival, actual repair.
Yes, and that's the crucial bit. It wasn't just keeping them alive longer. The data showed improvements in how the heart was actually working.
Okay.
Suggesting the damage wasn't just stopped, it was potentially being reversed. Dr. Shaw said, in the history of heart failure research, we have not seen efficacy like this.
It's like a bold statement from someone in the field.
Very bold. And they quantified it.
How much improvement?
So previous therapies might give you, say, a 5% or 10% boost in heart function metrics.
Okay. Incremental improvements.
This CBIN1 therapy, they saw around a 30% improvement.
30%. Wow. Okay, see why Dr. Shaw called it night and day.
Exactly. It's a different scale of effect.
And what specific functions improved? Was it just pumping harder?
Several things. The heart's overall efficiency in pumping blood got much better, closer to healthy levels. The hearts themselves didn't get as enlarged or thin-walled as they typically do in failure. They maintained a better structure.
So physically less damage.
Right. And even under the ongoing stress that caused the heart failure in the first place, the amount of blood pumped with each beat, it got back to normal levels.
Back to normal, even with the stress still there. That's impressive.
It really is. And this idea of the heart structure improving, Dr. Ting-Ting Hong, another senior author, called it reverse remodeling.
Reverse remodeling, meaning the heart is changing back towards a healthier state.
That's the concept. As Dr. Hong put it, it's going back to what the normal heart should look like. Not just stopping the bad changes, but undoing some of them.
That's it. Well, that's fundamentally different from just managing decline.
Completely different. It's aiming for actual recovery.
So we see these dramatic results. Why? What is CBIN1 actually doing in the cell to cause such a big positive effect?
The thinking is that CBIN1 acts like a central coordinator or a scaffold inside the heart muscle cell.
A scaffold, like it holds things together.
Sort of, yeah. It physically interacts with lots of other important proteins involved in contraction and signaling. Dr. Jing Li, the lead author, called it a centralized signaling hub.
Okay, so it's not just one protein doing one job. It's influencing a whole network.
Exactly. It helps organize the cell, making sure multiple pathways are working correctly.
Like the conductor of the orchestra, making sure everyone plays in time and in the right place.
That's a great analogy. By boosting CBIN1, you're not just fixing one instrument, you're helping the whole orchestra play better.
Ah, I see. So it's not targeting one specific symptom, but rather a core organizational problem in the failing cell.
Precisely. Dr. Lei said, CBIN1 is bringing benefits to multiple signaling pathways. It's restoring order, in a sense.
And they could actually see this improved organization.
Yes, even looking at the cells under the microscope, they saw better arrangement of the internal structures in the treated hearts.
So the idea is, instead of chasing lots of individual problems downstream, maybe we can fix the upstream organizer.
That seems to be the potential power of this approach. It suggests a new way to think about treating the heart muscle itself.
Okay, incredibly promising in pigs. What's next? How do we get from pigs to potentially treating people?
They're already working on it. They've partnered with a company, Therapeutics.
Right.
And the plan, as stated, is to apply to the FDA for permission to start human clinical trials in the fall of 2025.
Fall 2025. That seems quite ambitious, quite fast.
It does, which reflects the excitement, I think. But of course, there are hurdles.
Always are. What are the main ones here?
Well, standard procedure, but crucial. Rigorous toxicology testing. Need to be absolutely sure it's safe for humans.
Safety first, absolutely.
And then there's a potential issue with any therapy delivered by a virus. Pre-existing immunity.
Meaning, if someone's already been exposed to that type of virus before?
Their immune system might just attack the therapy before it can work.
Okay, so that's something they'll need to figure out, how common that immunity is and if it impacts effectiveness in people.
Exactly. It's a known challenge for some viral vector gene therapies.
So still steps to take, safety checks, potential challenges. But the overall feeling from the researchers seems optimistic.
Very much so. Dr. Hong had a quote that really captured it. When you see large animal data that's really close to human physiology, it makes you think. This human disease, which affects more than 6 million Americans, maybe this is something we can cure.
Maybe this is something we can cure. That's a powerful thought, moving beyond just management.
It really is a potential paradigm shift.
And just for anyone wanting to dig deeper, the paper is Cardiac Bridging Integrator 1 Gene Therapy Rescues Chronic Non-Ischemic Heart Failure in Minipigs in NPJ Regenerative Medicine.
And funded by the NIH and the Nora Eccles Treadwell Foundation. Key researchers Dr. Robin Shaw, Dr. Ting-Ting Hong, Dr. Jing Li at University of Utah.
Important to acknowledge them.
Yeah.
And you mentioned non-ischemic heart failure in the title. What did that specify?
Good point. Non-ischemic means heart failure not caused by blocked arteries, like from coronary artery disease. It can be caused by other things, genetics, infections, high blood pressure.
Okay, so this study focused on that type. It doesn't necessarily mean it wouldn't work for ischemic heart failure, but this specific study was on non-ischemic.
Correct. That was the model they used. Important context for the results.
Got it. Thanks for clarifying.
Okay.
So wrapping this up, the big picture here is genuine hope, right?
I think so. The results are undeniably significant. This unprecedented recovery in a large animal model using the CBIN1 gene therapy, it's a major step.
We're seeing evidence that it might be possible not just to slow heart failure, but to actually reverse damage, improve function substantially.
Moving towards healing the heart muscle itself, thanks to understanding the CBIN1 protein's role as a central organizer.
It feels like a potential turning point, moving away from just managing the decline.
Yes. Now, obviously, we need to be cautious. There's the path through toxicology, human trials, the immunity question.
Sure, the usual caveats with any early-stage research. It's not a cure today.
Not today. But the potential it represents is enormous.
Absolutely. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Imagine a future where heart failure isn't necessarily a one-way street. What would that mean for millions of people, for our healthcare system?
A profound difference.
Something to definitely keep an eye on. Thanks for diving into this with us.
My pleasure. Really fascinating work.